something huge is happening inside one of the most powerful trade groups in America, the National Association of Realtors. They are launching a massive overhaul, completely rethinking their strategy from the ground up. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what's behind this giant pivot and what it means for, well, pretty much everyone. Let's get right to it. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you have an organization this big, we're talking nearly 1.5 million people, and it decides to make such a radical change, you have to ask, why? What's going on that would force a total transformation? Let's start digging in. So we're calling this whole thing NAR's Big Pivot. And really, it's a story about a massive organization that's feeling some serious pressure, forcing it to completely rethink how it's going to face the future. Okay, first, let's just wrap our heads around the sheer scale here. The NAR has just shy of 1.5 million members. I mean, that makes it an absolute powerhouse in the US economy. You'd think with that many people, they'd be feeling pretty secure. But that's not exactly the case. And this quote from NAR's CEO, Nike Wright, just says it all. We are in a race to continue to prove our worth. Wow. Think about that. Despite being a giant, they feel like they're in a race against time to justify their very existence. That sense of urgency, that is the engine behind this entire pivot. All right, so if you're feeling that kind of pressure, what do you do? Well, NAR's answer is this brand new, really comprehensive 3-year strategic plan. You can think of it as their official roadmap to modernize the whole operation and tackle these challenges head on. And what's really important here is that this wasn't some big fight. The plan passed unanimously with the executive committee. Their goal is crystal clear: bring the organization into the modern era and completely transform the experience for every single one of its members. And listen, we're not just talking about some vague mission statement here. This is a real action plan. We're talking 75 different projects lined up for the next 3 years. This isn't just tweaking a few things. This is a full-scale, top-to-bottom commitment to change. But hold on, how on earth do you fund 75 new projects? Well, you have to completely change how you handle your money. And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the centerpiece of this entire strategy, a pretty radical financial shift called zero-based budgeting. So what in the world is zero-based budgeting? Well, think of it this way. Normally, you take last year's budget and maybe add or subtract a little bit. With this method, every single department has to start from zero. Every single year. Every dollar, every expense has to be justified from scratch. And you can just feel the intensity of this approach in the CEO's own words. She said she wants to go down to the molecular level. This isn't about trimming a little fat. No, this is like a DNA-level forensic analysis of every single dollar they spend to find efficiencies and put that money to better use. And the difference is just, it's night and day. The old way, it's pretty passive, right? You just tweak last year's numbers. But this new way is super active. It's intentional. It forces everyone to ask tough questions about every single expense. Do we still need this? Does this actually help us reach our new goals? It's a whole new philosophy for how they operate. And what's really smart is they're being pretty cautious about it. Even though they have nearly 1.5 million members right now, they're basing this whole new budget on a more conservative number, 1.2 million. This gives them a financial cushion, a buffer, and it shows they're being realistic about the future. Okay, so we've seen the how. That zero-based budget is the engine. But what's it all for? Where's this train going? Well, the entire plan is built around 4 core commitments, which really spell out who this massive transformation is meant to help. So the whole strategy really stands on these 4 pillars. It's a pretty complete approach that shows who they're focused on. It's not just their realtor members, but the entire real estate world, from industry partners all the way down to you, the consumer. All right, pillar number 1, the members. I mean, this is the main event, right? The goal is simple. Help them do better business day in and day out. That means giving them research they can actually use, more training, better tech tools, and that zero-based budgeting we were just talking about. The money they save is supposed to be reinvested directly into these kinds of benefits. Next, they're zooming out to look at the industry as a whole. The idea here is to make the entire profession stronger from the inside. So we're talking about doubling down on their code of ethics, creating top-tier industry events, and really focusing on bringing in the next generation of leaders. Oh, and it's also a defensive move to try and get ahead of some of the big legal challenges facing the industry. The plan also makes a big commitment to its partners, the thousands of local real estate associations out there. The big keyword here is collaboration. They want to improve how data flows between all these different groups, work together to build new tools, and just generally make it clearer who does what in this pretty complex industry. And finally, and this one is so important, a commitment to consumers. This is the part that affects everybody. The goal is to push for policies that help more people buy homes, especially younger buyers. They also want to become the first voice, the go-to trusted source you hear from when there's big news in the real estate world. So that's the plan. It's ambitious, it's detailed, but what does the road ahead actually look like? What happens now? Now, here's a really key detail. NAR is going out of its way to say this plan is not set in stone. They're calling it a living document, something that's meant to be flexible and not finished or finite. The whole point is to be able to adapt and change as new challenges pop up over the next few years. And they're putting dates on it, which is how you know they're serious about accountability. The whole thing officially kicks off on January 1st, 2026. Then, just a couple months later, in that first quarter, they've promised to release their first annual progress report to the public. That's a big deal and a clear signal they want to be more transparent. Which brings us right back to where we started. NAR has a new roadmap. It's built on some serious financial discipline and these 4 clear promises to everyone involved. But in an industry that's changing so fast, will it be enough to win that race to prove its worth and really secure its future? I guess only time will tell.